Beautiful. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Fashion Your Passion podcast. I have a treat for you here today. I have on Lynda, who is a business owner, speaker, author, and a bunch of other things. And she is just hot in the personal development field right now. And so I'm so excited to welcome Lynda to the show. So Lynda, welcome.
Thank you. I'm super excited to be here.
Yeah. Can you just tell my listeners a little bit more about who you are, what you do, and just dive into your journey to get to this point?
It seems like it would be a really easy question, like simple questions like, what do you do? Where do you live? Those should be easy questions. So yes, I am the things that you shared, a speaker and a business owner, and really a champion for, I would say I'm a champion for women and people. I just genuinely love people. And I think that that's where my journey starts, to be honest. When I graduated from college, I studied English literature. And I joke around that when I graduated, I realized very quickly the world did not need experts in Shakespeare, much to my surprise.
Yeah.
And I found myself in a unique position where all of a sudden now I'm like, okay, so I have to pay rent and I have to buy gas and I have to do all of the things that you do when you're an adult and you graduate from college. And I fell into sales. Literally, I wanted to have a lot of flexibility because at the time I had an agent. I speak Spanish fluently. And so somewhere along the line, someone said I should do Spanish commercials. And so I thought I would be interested, I wanted flexibility. I got a commission only sales job and ended up having a lot of success, which led me to another job that was sales, primarily sales, had a lot of success. And when I was about 26 or 27, I, not intentionally, but I reached some record with the company that I had the most amount of new accounts. And so here I was, 27 years old. They flew me to Minneapolis and they said, we want you to train the new people on what you did and how you did it. And so I was like, oh, okay. And so I found myself at a very young age in front of an auditorium of about 400 people. And I would say 380 of them were men. And I was a young woman for the first time. And I knew that they probably wanted me to talk about sales strategy or overcoming objections or negotiation tactics or some of the typical sales training that people had gone through, especially back then. And I didn't. I said, you guys have me here because you want to know why I was successful. And I will tell you, it's because I genuinely love people. And when I would go into what would be a new account, I figured they were just friends. I hadn't met them yet. But I knew I was going to love them eventually. So I just started out with a very positive attitude towards them and built rapport fairly quickly and thought about what they would need, like how I could genuinely help them, not what I could get. And probably that was the first time that I shared conceptually, just open your mouth and your heart at the same time. I feel like I've been teaching it for 30 years, but it's not always easy for people to do. Absolutely. And so that really was the beginning part of my journey. And in all of those roles, it was like I owned my own business because it was commission only, or I was an independent consultant. And so those were the first steps to a very long journey. Probably the most pivotal, I'll share one other little piece. The most pivotal was I went to a training. I invested in myself, which I think is a really important thing for people to do. And I went to a training that was like leadership development and team building. And by this time now, I think I was in my 30s. Yeah, I was in my early 30s. And every single thing that gentleman was talking about made sense to me. And I sent him an email thanking him for the day. It was like a 2-day event. And he thanked me for the email, and we started a conversation. and I ended up being mentored by him. And he was at the time teaching the #1 team building event in the nation. And so that's when I started teaching and becoming a speaker and doing personal development. He kind of passed the baton to me. I actually was just texting him this last weekend. His influence has been enormous in my life. And so that was a very pivotal moment.
Yeah. I love that so much, because I think, just to touch on that for a second, like, I know for me, like, mentors have been like the key thing in my life to getting to where I am. Like, I'm 19, but I run my own agency. I run a podcast that I've had for 2 years, and I'm doing just all these different things because of the people who have sort of shown me the way, the people who have shown me that it's possible to do things at any age. And so I find that so inspirational. But I want to know, like, what are some of the lessons, like, you had that commission only job, what are some of the lessons that you learned from that job?
Well, you just used the word. And the lesson is possible.
Yeah.
Anytime I have, whether it's a speaking engagement or an online course or any training that I ever do, I invite people at the very, very beginning to just, if you don't believe this, I'm inviting you for just this short period of time to hold this one belief. That is that anything is possible.
Mm-hmm.
And I really think that if you start out with that belief, you're ahead of the game. So you just used that word. And as you did, I literally got goosebumps. I'll tell you, I literally got goosebumps. I'm inclined, just so you know, I'm inclined to call you honey. I call everybody honey. Even the VP of our company, I call honey. So I almost said, you gave me goosebumps, honey, because you really did. When I heard that word possible come out of your mouth, that's the starting point for so much, is just believing that anything is possible. And if it's true for somebody else, that means it's true for us. It's true for you.
Yeah. What are some of, like, the things, like, say someone comes to you and they're like, you know what, like, I just don't think that's true. I hear you say it all the time, but I just don't think that is true. What are some of the things, like, what are some of the tips you would give them in terms of, like, unblocking themselves from, seeing that possibility?
The very first thing that comes to my mind is to say, I understand how you feel, because we all have beliefs that, that we may have doubt about something else, or we all have that. So I would say to somebody, if they said, I don't believe that's true, that anything's possible, I would say, I understand how you could feel that way. And there's clearly, I don't know how tall you are, but I'm 5'9". So if someone said anything is possible, and I said, well, yeah, I'm 5'9", I'm not going to be 7 feet tall. Okay, we could figure it out. They'd have an operation, they would insert bones, I would wear high heels somehow or another, I could be, but that's not the kind of thing I'm talking about.
Yeah.
When I say anything is possible, is anything that you set your mind to. I believe that if you have an idea, you wouldn't be given it unless you were going to be given all the resources that you needed to make that idea come true.
Mm-hmm.
So, but if somebody said they don't believe that to be true, they don't think something is possible or everything is possible, I would say, is there anything that you've believed in the past that proved to be incorrect?
Mm.
Everyone talks about the probably the easiest one that everyone says is there was years and years and millions of people that lived their life thinking the world was flat. They were scared that if they walked too far, they'd fall off the cliff. So there's decades and decades of people who lived in that fear, and it was wrong.
Mm.
So I would just invite people to reflect on something that they believed that was turned out to be untrue.
Yeah.
And if that's untrue, then maybe their belief about everything being possible is untrue.
Yeah, exactly. And my mentor always says, she goes, every time you think that you can't survive something or you can't do something, like, you did it because you're here right now. And it's just, every time I hear it, it just shifts my mindset of, like, yeah, like, actually I can do the things, I can, sort of move forward, because, like, if I've done it before, I can most likely do it again. It's not like it's like anything changed really. And so I think it's so powerful, because especially now where it's like, oh, but, like, we're in a global pandemic, so I can't do X, I can't do Y. It's like, you can find a way to do certain things. Yes, you may not be able to go out and, like, see your friends like you used to, but, like, there's still other ways to sort of, maneuver around the ultimate goal of what you want to do. And so I think it's just such a powerful point. I want to touch on joy a little bit because I know you talk about it a lot. I first want to ask you what sort of like your personal definition of joy, and sort of how do you, just like what's your perspective and definition of it?
Well, you're just full of giving me goosebumps today. I'm just going to tell you, like, just that question, because I just went through a website, I redid my website, and the platform of heroic joy is something that wasn't there literally a week ago. And now I have my definition of joy on there. And when we think of the word joy, I think people think of it as a feeling or an emotion, like happy or blissful, right? And my definition is, it's not only feeling something, it's being something. And so for me, joy is feeling love and being love. It's feeling gratitude and being grateful. It's feeling happy and being happy, because the emotions, positive emotions, I know it's not everybody has ease in expressing their emotions, but especially positive emotions. If we don't live them out, if we aren't acting on love, on gratitude, if we're not acting on happiness, are we really happy? Yeah. If we just keep it, are we really grateful? If we feel grateful, but we don't tell the person thank you? So for me, joy is the combination of feeling something and being it. And it's a whole list. It's gratitude, it's happiness, it's love and compassion and generosity. I feel like joy is like any positive emotion you could have, all bundled into that word.
Yeah. No, because I like when, years ago, I was like, oh, I just wish I was happy. Oh, I just whatever. But now it's like, I just want to have some joy in my life. Like, I just want to do things that bring me joy. That way I can feel joy to give joy to others, and it's like, it's so crazy how like things change like that, and you find a different sort of perspective on your life just from looking at it in a different way. And I want to know, like, what are the things you do in your everyday that, like, bring you joy? Like, how do you find joy every day?
Well, it's really funny because I'm literally doing a webinar. Is it a webinar? No, it's a Zoom thing, like a Zoom meeting. I'm doing a Zoom meeting tomorrow on what you just asked. And it comes down to, I mean, there's a lot of different answers, obviously, but it comes down to recognizing that we each have can you tell I get paid to speak? This is awesome. I'm so excited that I can't even get the words out. We each have unique and individual natural gifts. And then we have skills that we learn and we develop. Our unique natural gifts, when we are using them, we experience joy. Exactly. You have a natural gift in building rapport quickly. I'm getting the good fortune of seeing you. I don't know if this podcast is just audio or if it's video or what, but I have the good fortune of seeing your smile. Mm-hmm. I can feel your presence. My guess is that you being present, building rapport, and kind of having ease in communication, those probably feels natural for you. Yeah. And it probably brings you joy when you get to do that. Yeah. So our natural gifts bring us joy. And so one of the things I encourage people to do is we can't always build a livelihood on our natural gifts. Oftentimes not right out the gate, but that would be my hope for every human being. If you can blend your livelihood with something that is a natural gift. One of my really good friends from high school is a very well-known landscape architect, like does the gardens and the outdoor eating areas for Oprah and Ellen and, like all of these beautiful homes. And from the time he was young, he loved being in the garden. Literally, I can't keep a plant alive, not one of my natural gifts. So whatever those are, that brings us a lot of joy. And the thing I'm doing, ironically, that you're asking me this, that I'm doing tomorrow night, is just this complimentary thing where I did a speaking event this weekend, and it was a topic that came up. So I decided to just do it. And the whole point of it is to help people discover what their natural gifts are, because sometimes the things that come the most natural to us, we don't apply value to. We don't think it must be really good or important or high value if it feels so easy. So it's a great question. And I would say experiencing joy, there's a lot of different ways, but one of the ways is owning your natural gifts and finding a way to use them in some way, shape, or form in the service of others.
Yeah, exactly. One of my friends actually just like the other day just started an Etsy shop for all of like her little stickers and stuff, because she was selling them, like, or she wasn't selling them. She texted me and she's like, hey, like, do you want like an SDSU sticker or whatever? And I was like, yeah, of course. And I got it, and it's literally so good. Yeah, I actually can show you, it's right here. And I was like, do you even sell these? And she was like, no, I don't. And I was like,
oh, that's awesome.
Definitely should. And then so basically, like, I was like, you are so good at this, like, why don't you give it to the world? And she's like, I don't know, I just didn't think that I was that good. And I was like, no, like, you are, and so I think that is so, like, for me, I'm so lucky that a lot of like the things that come naturally to me, I can sort of move into like a career, like a job or something like that. But I know for others, it's not that way. But I want to know from you, like, what would you say to that person who's like, I don't feel like anything that I have in my life I'm really good at. I just feel like I'm okay at everything.
I would say I understand how you feel, but in this case, you happen to be wrong, because everybody has natural gifts. You just haven't discovered it yet. Yeah. And so I would say to that person, there's a really good chance that you haven't discovered what the natural gift is, or if you have, you haven't been able to correlate the value of it, to think that if I do this, that it's of value. And unfortunately, I don't think that's something that's taught. It's one of the reasons I work with younger women, like basically 18 to 35, even though I'm not 35. But most of the time people tell me they don't think that I'm 56. I'm 56.
Can't even tell.
Can't even tell. Someone was like, you can get that senior discount if you're 55 and older. And I was like, I didn't even just hear what you just said. I didn't even hear that. Like, it's not worth it to me right now to save any amount of money to capitalize on that. I just, because in my mind, I'm 35.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, 100%. No, and I think honestly, it's like, I don't know. I feel such a need to like bring, like, just to have, like, to show people that like they have a gift and talent to them, because I like found mine so young. Like, I started what then was my dream job at 12 years old.
Wow.
And from there, like, obviously it's not the same job or dream job I have now, but it evolved into what I'm doing right now. And so it's like, I feel like I need to, whether they're 12 or whether they're 26, like, I just still feel the need to show people how to find their whatever it's dream job or dream whatever it is, because that's what's important in life. That's the reason that this podcast is called Fashion Your Passion, because I'm here to, sort of help others find their passion, the thing that brings them the most joy in life, because
1,000,000%.
Yeah, because to circle back to the beginning, like, it is possible to find that thing, it's not, it's out there, and you just got to do some soul searching and just find it,
Yeah, I'm working with a young woman, and she said, we were talking about her like affirmations and goals and stuff, and she said she's nervous about her passion career. And she has a career that she has to do right now. She has a full-time job, but she calls it her passion career. And so in the nooks and crannies of her life and on the weekends, she's trying to pour fuel into that. And she said she was worried about it. And I said, well, what are you worried about? Like, why does it feel like you're worried? She's like, well, because I don't really have a whole lot of clarity about it. She wanted to put a box around what it is. I was like, well, it could be more than one thing. We're so accustomed to having these labels. It's like, oh, I'm a this or I'm a that. And I think what people are recognizing, hopefully, is that we're dimensional, we're multifaceted. We are more than one thing. And I think as women, especially, we have an ability to really see people for who they are. And there's always more than meets the eye. And if you start out that way, recognizing that there's more than meets the eye, it makes it easy to help see the possibility in other people. What it just sounds like what you do quite a bit, which is really awesome.
Thank you. Yeah, it's honestly, it's a lot of fun, like just like being with other people and like seeing them shine in some way. It's a lot of fun, Before we roll into the final question, I want you to tell everyone where they can find you on the web and on social and all that fun stuff like that.
Well, just my website, lindacormier.com. So I spell my name with a Y, and it's Lynda, Cormier, Cormier.com. And there's, people email me from there a lot, or there's some new things that you can put your email address in and you'll receive a list of really amazing questions to help discover that joy. Or on Instagram, you said you saw my Instagram. I'm so excited. I'm working with some amazing younger women who are helping me with Instagram. So, so Instagram, same thing, just my name.
Yeah. You're good. No,
oopsie. I thought I had this on silent. Oh, I know what it is. It's those people that you love that they're supposed to be able to ring through even when you put your phone on do not disturb in the middle of the night, but not in the middle of the podcast.
You're all good. You're all good. No worries. Yeah. And then all of her links will be down below. So go check it out in the show notes below. And then for the final question of the podcast, which is the question that I ask every single guest who has ever been on. So based off the title of the podcast, which is Fashion Your Passion, what is one tip that you would give those who are dreaming based off how you have fashioned your passion?
Trust. Find your voice and trust it. Trust, like this, okay, third goosebump moment. Every single person has this amazing, unique thing. Yeah. And the world misses it, I think. The universe misses it when we don't step into it. And it's our greatest privilege and our responsibility to step into that potential, to that passion, because the passion's always connected to your natural gifts. So I would say just trust that. There's a few things that literally pain me when I work with men, a few good men, a lot of women, but it literally pains me that they don't trust themselves. They don't trust their passions, their purpose, their gifts, the confidence that what they want to bring out into the world is required. It's needed. One of the things I teach all the time is that your brain will lie to you, but your soul never will. And so when your heart and soul are calling you to do something, listen to that message. Don't listen to your brain that's telling you you can't. Thinking is so overrated. People don't trust themselves because they just think too much. So that would be my advice, to nurture and fuel to fashion your passion with trust.
I love that so much. Thank you so much for coming on. This has been a powerful conversation. I truly, truly am moved by this.
Oh.
I'm just on a different level. For those of you listening, be sure to subscribe, rate, review, and post a screenshot of you listening to this episode on your Instagram story and tag both Lynda and I will talk to you guys next week.